everybody, it's Hannah, and I have Kayla and Hiba joining me today. Welcome back to Shared News. We have so much to talk about in terms of a celebrity recap, but before we get into it, make sure that you guys go ahead and like this video, make sure that you hit the subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you guys don't miss out on any of our future uploads. Ladies, first of all, hello. I am so excited. Are you guys ready to dive into everything celebrity related? There's so much to talk about.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be back, Hannah. I can't wait. Hiba, this is my
know.
first panel with you, so I'm excited to talk with you. So good to meet you. And yeah, I'm ready to dive in. Sure.
Yeah, so nice meeting you guys too.
Yeah, I'm so excited. All right, so Hiba, I can't wait to hear all of your thoughts. Let's kick it off. So let's talk about Britney Spears. So Britney Spears has been, I feel like she's been making headlines for quite some time, but now apparently she's getting a divorce. Now, as you guys know, she was married to Sam Asghari for 14 months, and now he just formally filed for divorce, which I kind of figured this was coming at some point. I didn't know it would be so soon with these two. I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say. It looks like he is really looking for a lot of money. Obviously, having this divorce go through with Britney. But what's interesting is the fact that also, like, they separated on July 28th. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. And then filing for divorce. So I don't know. It looks like he's also claiming to go public with a bunch of information about Britney. Caleb, what's your initial reaction? Did you think that this was going to happen? What do you think of like this borderline extortion situation? What's your reaction
Yeah.
to all of this? We'll start with you.
Yeah. I mean, my first thought is just like, geez, can Brittany just catch a break? I feel like every time I turn my head left and right, people are trying to just get one over on her and take advantage of her. And so that's kind of the take that I got. I also was surprised because from my understanding, they were together for a good bit and then they got married and now it's like so soon after they got divorced. So yeah, I guess, my hope for Britney was probably just for her to honestly stay single for a while and not jump into like a marriage of any sort. Because I just feel like just from what's been uncovered over the past few years, she's been through a lot. And so
A lot.
I just want her to find peace. I don't want anyone taking any of her money that she worked so hard for, regardless of whatever the situation is. And so I'm just trying to figure out, what is going to be the resolution of all of this. But at the end of the day, I just want Brittany to find like true happiness.
Yeah, I agree. It's so sad because, her kids have moved to Hawaii now and now she's getting a divorce.
Mm,
So she's really going to be alienated. And, that's not going to be good for her mental health even more so, which is going to be really concerning because, we see those videos on Instagram that she posts of her dancing and recently of her on the stripper pole. Again, nothing wrong with that, but it just doesn't kind of connect
mm,
to what she's dealing with in her personal life right now as far as a divorce. Like if you were to go on her Instagram, you would never think she's going through a divorce. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of off-putting and I never know what to expect with her. Are we surprised? No. But I feel like it's kind of, we saw it coming, but again, kind of like what you said, Hannah, we just didn't know exactly when. So it's inevitable in my opinion, but I just really am concerned, and I'm sure everybody else is, just with her mental health, because I feel like that is the biggest kind of challenge she's going to have to overcome. It just kind of also sucks that Sam is just trying to get so much money out of her with spousal support and now wanting to share property and get those incentives as well. And it just really goes to show you, like, you really cannot trust people because even though they have a prenup, like, he's still out for money and is now threatening
mhm,
stories. So
mhm.
it's just like, who do you trust in this industry? It's really scary, even though they were together for
Yeah.
6 years. So it really just means nothing.
Yeah, I agree with what both of you ladies said. I'm super concerned for her. I don't know how like there hasn't been more. I mean legalities are it's straight up the answer, but it's like I don't know how there hasn't been more digging in to like make sure that she's actually okay. And I think her
Mm,
mental health is just completely not good, and it's so sad to see somebody who has so much talent and ability and to see that she's losing everything around her, and I don't love that for her. Now he came forward and he's accusing her of having had an affair with a staff employee. So basically he's alleging that she cheated. And when he filed, it stated irreconcilable differences. Do you guys actually think that she had an affair, or do you think that this is my initial gut reaction is I doubt there was an affair or any necessarily like not okay behavior. I think personally it's a leg to stand on if he's trying to get more money despite the airtight prenup that she has. You know, he's reaching for anything to try and rectify his case. But I don't know. I personally don't think there was an affair, but what do you guys think?
I think you're right. I think it's probably like 50, I don't know, 60% of me is like, this is definitely like, something that he conjured up because it's probably going directly against their prenup. So he has some sort of leverage for what he wants, with this
Mhm,
divorce. But 40% of me is like, maybe it's true. Maybe she did have
mhm,
an affair just because, like, that happens. Clearly, they don't have the best relationship because this is happening, right? But still, with that being said, I don't care if you cheated or what have you. Like, the fact that you're trying to get, like, her money, you're trying to, like, have spousal support and get in on her properties, like, I'm sorry, that has nothing to do with you. Like, what Britney has built, like, from her teenage years on, like, is hers. Like, you just don't own it. You have no right to that. So I don't really care either way, but I am just hoping that someone really legit steps in on Britney's behalf and can defend her and get her the best, like, get her out of this in the best way that benefits her.
It does kind of sound like the cheating is a cop out just to kind of excuse the relationship of kind of running its course. Like Sam kind of took advantage of her in all the ways that he could have, as far as trying to launch his acting career or his modeling career. And I feel like
Mm,
because it's been kind of milked, there's really nothing else for him to kind of take advantage of through this relationship with Britney. So maybe he did use that cheating allegation as a way to cop out and really file for divorce. And it really is just showing his true colors. I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to book anything after this. I mean, I don't even know if the guy has talent. Like, I haven't even seen anything that he's booked, but it's just really going to show his true colors. And it already is starting to show his true colors. So, yeah, it's just really sucks. It's just a not a good situation. And obviously, the fans are so passionate and they always want to have her back. And I don't know if many of the fans warned her about Sam and maybe what his actual intentions are. But I mean, it's coming to light and he's doing all the talking, and now we're just seeing, it all kind of play out.
Yeah. Also, isn't it kind of funny that after I mean, I don't know the exact timeline, but she's been liberated from the conservatorship now for what, maybe a year, just under, somewhere around that ballpark. So isn't it ironic that he was there throughout the whole process of trying to get free of that or
mm,
maybe not the whole process, but he was there for a good chunk of it and trying to get her free and set free from the conservatorship. And then isn't it ironic that now, not too long after that happens, he's going to go in and start digging in her pockets as well? I
Right.
just feel
yeah,
horrible for her. I really
so
do.
true.
And also, like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
the behavior that she's exhibiting, something's clearly not 100% lining up. And I'm like, if you're a husband,
Mhm.
you need to help that out. I haven't seen him make any concerted effort in actually trying to help her at all. And if you love somebody, you typically help them. No, I mean, that's just what I would
Yeah.
think. But
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's like what Hiba said earlier of just like it's hard to trust people in this industry.
mhm.
It's a hard pill to take that someone who was your partner for 6 years is basically like now taking advantage of you as well, even after they saw your own family doing that and all of the things that happened with Britney. So it really, really is very sad. And I think it's just I don't know, it's very telling of where people's hearts are, like, in this industry, but just in general in this world, so it's disheartening.
Well, we'll move on to something a little bit more positive. Hopefully, Brittany gets everything is situated with the divorce. Obviously, we'll continue to stay attuned to everything that's going on. I'm sure we're going to get so many more updates. But let's switch gears. Let's talk about Miss Selena Gomez. I love Selena. I feel like she's been living her best life and she's been having a hot girl summer. I love her so much. She is releasing a new single on August 25th. And now this is going to be the first song that she's come out with since My Mind and Me, which was accompanying the documentary that was released on Apple TV Plus. Now, the promotion for this has been super iconic. Now, let me get this correct. She's had she had artwork teased on a website, and then there were flyers passed around with a phone number for fans to be able to call. And then apparently there's a recording on the call that says, "Hi, sissy, never worry about boyfriends at all." And that's like supposed to be her little sister, Gracie, that's like leaving that message. I think it's just fascinating. What do you guys think about the fact that she's coming out
Wow.
with a song? And let's talk about this promotion. I mean, that's iconic. That's how you promote a song. That's a
Yes.
lot of work. What are your gut reactions to that?
Listen, that is how you market a song. It's how you market some music right there. Because I think for me, it hits right to like her fans. That's where my brain goes. It's like she is going right to her fans to reignite their excitement, to get them back on board and ready to support her and her music. Because of course, like, Selena has huge supporters regardless of her acting career and all the things that she's doing, and even just like the sneak peeks of like her dating life now, her hot girl summer, as you said. But to like have a phone number where you call it and you hear this voice, it feels very like you're in on like a secret that's happening and you're kind of getting this like exclusive sneak peek of her music and what she's doing. And it just feels it can really make fans very excited. It can get them, just back on board, like I said. So I love that. I love her. I love her style of music. And Benny Blanco, I think, is producing this along with
Mhm.
Kashmir Cat, which is like a Swedish producer, record producer. So I'm assuming it's gonna be like a really cool mix of like some pop and like maybe electronic vibes. I don't know. I'm excited to hear it for sure.
Yeah, we
What
haven't
about
gotten
you?
music from her in a really long time. I feel like she's maybe taking some notes out of Taylor's playbook of kind of, planting
Mhm.
those seeds and those Easter eggs of kind of
Mhm.
like what fans
Mhm.
can kind of like breadcrumb for them. So I feel like she's probably maybe getting some advice from her as far as the marketing department because I feel like, yeah, it's kind of hard with music how to tease it for so long and, finally kind of make it integrated with your fans. So I feel like this is a good take for her to kind of just play around, do something different that she hasn't done in the past. And the fact that Miley is dropping another single the same day, it's
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. It's kind of giving Disney Channel because on Hannah
Oh.
Montana, their characters were
Oh
competing with
my
each other. So I
gosh.
thought
Mhm.
that like
They were
Twitter pointed it
rivals.
out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, they were rivals, and now
They
coincidentally,
were.
the 25th, both of them are dropping something. So I was like, huh, okay,
That is
Very
such a good point.
coincidence.
Well, I was wondering that myself because when I was reading this article, I was like, I know Miley has one coming out like right within. I didn't know it was the same
Exactly.
exact day. Well, and Miley's even wearing like
Mhm.
a deconstructed Disney tee, like in hers. Is like, I wonder if this goes deeper than we like even realize. I love
Yeah.
this. Ooh. Um, what is your reaction? I don't know if you guys watched the documentary that Selena came out with last year, but I did. I think I watched it a couple of times because it was so dense and there was so much that she talked about. But she really mentioned that she was like, she seemed quite apprehensive about music and like and singing and everything like that.
Mm.
And I personally am hoping, especially with having Taylor as her BFF, hoping that she would like maybe take the new body of work that she comes out with eventually and like go on tour. Do you foresee that coming up in her future? I mean, she's super busy with so many other projects too, with Rare Beauty and
Mhm.
Only Murders. But like, I don't know. Do you guys think that maybe a tour will be
Mhm.
in the works for Selena? It's been a while.
Yeah. I mean, I think, tours are a lot of work. You have to have a lot of
Hmm.
rehearsals, a lot of planning time. And I think there's a chance though because they have to put all this music out first. They have to release all of it, market all of it. This is just one single, right? So,
Hmm.
with that being said, now that I think Only Murders that season is done filming, so
Hmm.
it could be a chance that she has, that time blocked off in her schedule, maybe starting like spring or summer of next year to do a tour for sure. But I think, like I said, a tour is a very big undertaking for an artist like Selena Gomez because she has such a huge fan base. It's not just like, you know, uh, setting up some dates at little venues. It's like she's going to have to like book some stadiums probably. So,
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think there's a chance for sure, but it'll probably just take some time.
Yeah, touring is very physically grueling. And correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure if she's toured
Mhm.
since the kidney transplant. I don't know, but
Don't
I'm sure
mm,
that is still grueling because those are kind of after effects that you kind of have to deal with for the rest of your life. So
Mhm.
hopefully, with those physical complications and her history, she's able to still tour because you got to be fit, you got to hit those notes while you're dancing around. Because I know she also does choreo too, so that's kind
Mhm.
of hard as well.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure fans want that, and she's kind of been gone from the music scene for a while. And like you mentioned, she has all those shows, including her cooking show too on HBO. That's also another thing that
Mhm.
she has.
Mhm.
So she's very busy. So hopefully, yeah, she does have time to tour.
Yeah, I don't know. I hope that with SG3 coming out, which seems to be her new album, her new body of work, maybe there's the potential for tour. Like you said, Hibbo, even with like the physical complications that obviously surround everything that she has going on, maybe we'll get some type of like limited dates. Maybe she'll do like couple major cities or something like that. So, the fact that she's releasing a body of work though, is really good, and I think that that's definitely a good sign. And regardless, I'm just happy to see that she's able to be doing music, despite the fact that I know that she's had different periods of time where she's been a little bit less confident out of that in terms of her abilities. So I'm happy for her. I'm excited. Let's go ahead, and I want to shift gears to. I'm so curious to see what you ladies think. So the American Horror Story posters have dropped. We had a little bit of a sneak peek and an insight as to what to expect, in terms of like a teaser trailer type of thing. But now we finally get to see the posters, and we get to see Kim. There's Kim. She is with her long white hair and a long white dress. The spider, didn't know that was coming. What did you guys think when you saw this poster? Are you going to tune in? Where do you guys stand with all of this, with Miss Kim K joining the cast for this upcoming season?
Goodness gracious, where do I begin? Because one, I have to say, I'm actually kind of excited. Like when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot that this was a legitimate thing that is happening. Like Kim Kardashian is going to be joining the new season of AHS. But then right after that, I was like, ugh, I don't know how confident I am that it'll be good because well, first of all, I personally was a super fan of American Horror Story back in the day, like seasons
Okay.
1 through 4. I like loved season 1, loved season 3. Season 4 it kind of started to get a little okay, it's going off the rails for me. And then it's just like it's too many seasons. They should have just ended it way sooner, way earlier. So that, that matched with Kim Kardashian's not necessarily an actress. Let's just be honest. Like, I love Kim
Hmm.
since watching the Kardashians on Hulu. Like, I'm a fan, but I don't know if this is actually going to be one for the books. I think it'll be one for the books for a different reason than it being like, actual good TV, but I could be wrong. You never know. Will I watch it? Probably because it's Kim Kardashian. Like I'm curious. So I'm definitely gonna tune in. Will I continue to watch is the question. But Hiba, I'm curious to see what you think.
Yeah, Hiba.
Yeah, that's the main question. I wasn't when I heard this being reported. I wasn't surprised that it was AHS. I was just surprised that she was going to act. Period. Because I'm like, what? It just doesn't really make sense to me. So that
Yeah.
was just a surprise in itself, regardless of what show. I feel like because the seasons have kind of had lower ratings and lower attraction, maybe they did need a big reality star like Kim to maybe bring in a new perspective, a new audience, the Kardashian Jenner audience to maybe become relevant again. Because I agree, like the first 3 seasons, 4 seasons were great, but then kind of, another season, like what is it about this year?
Mhm.
So it was just too much to keep up with and just not as interesting anymore. So
Yeah.
maybe this might work again as just kind of a marketing tactic where I feel like they're just kind of taking a shot in the dark because she doesn't have that much credibility to being an actor, let alone any. So I'm very curious. I don't think I'll watch, but I'll maybe catch some clips here and there just to get a taste. But I don't think I'll be that invested.
Mm.
But I'm for sure curious, without a doubt, for sure curious.
I agree. I've never really seen AHS. I think I've seen episodes here and there, but I've
Oh,
never was like
okay.
a watcher the whole way through for a season or anything like that. I don't know. I've always wanted to get into it, but I just never really have. So maybe this
Mhm.
will be my entrance into the AHS universe. I think that she looks really good on the poster. I will say, I think that that's like a really neat
Mhm.
image. When I saw it, I was like, oh yeah, like I was like, this is very. It looks legit. I will say, I do really think it's a good poster, but I don't know. I'm definitely gonna tune in to watch. It's just I'm really curious to see what is it gonna look like the first episode. Kind of like with what was it,
Mhm.
the Idol? Like I'm sure the first episode for that like had a ton of
Uh-huh.
viewers, but then after that it started to get really mixed reviews and a lot
Mhm.
Right.
of people just dropped out. Kind of wondering if it's not gonna have the same effect with this. Like they'll tune in to see what Kim does, and if we're gonna find out real quickly what people actually
Yeah.
think, and then it's gonna impact the rest of the lineup there. So I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah, I think something to remember is, to take note of is maybe with the other cast, she'll be supported and it'll kind of like even out. Cause I think when she was on SNL, people were kind of like criticizing it, like, I don't really know, questioning if it was gonna be good. But she ended up being pretty funny. And I think that was a part of him actually just stepped up to the plate. But also like the rest of the cast members, the script, like the overall plot of the show will also like help elevate that. So I'm curious like what the other cast looks like, and what the show is about, like delicate, like what that means. So yeah. Hiba, what do you think?
That's also true. Going off of SNL, again, a lot of people were doubting it, criticizing it. Will she even be funny? And she came out to really good reviews, and I think viewers were up that episode specifically because of her. I guess people were just kind of waiting for her downfall, but she proved them wrong, which was great. Proved the haters wrong. But being this is a very dramatic, dark series, which is completely different from SNL, which is all comedy. That's going to also be the challenge that she has to overcome, because this is a whole different beast, a whole different type of art form, different, delivery with
Mhm.
dialogue and facial expressions and all of that too. So even with that, I'm also very curious. So we'll just have to see how she does.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
will see. I'm excited. I'm sure we'll all tune in and then we will go from there. So it looks like we can expect for this to release on September 20th on Hulu and FX. Now let's go ahead. I want to shift gears and talk about Miss Taylor Swift. You guys, Taylor's been killing it with the Eras tour, by the way. I can't believe how much she's
Lame.
managed to turn the economy around. Now, what I think is really fascinating is Taylor Swift allegedly passed on the Super Bowl. And this is not the first time that she's done this. She's passed on the Super Bowl. This is her ninth time in a row. Did you guys? I did not know this.
Mm.
Um, I didn't know that she was offered it that many times, and I didn't realize that she had turned it down. Did you know about this? What did you think when you found this out? Do you think she should do the Super Bowl? Where do you guys stand with all of this?
Mm. I'm not surprised. I mean, she's Taylor Swift. At this point,
Hmm.
she's iconic, but she's nearing legendary. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So 9 times, that doesn't surprise me. I know Rihanna was asked and turned it down a couple times, and so like I think that made sense. 9 is a lot, but I'm like, okay,
Right.
fair. I of course I want to see Taylor like do the Super Bowl. I think she's one of those artists that would do well in a Super Bowl because she has so many hits that everyone's gonna know. Whether you're a Taylor Swift fan or not, you're gonna
Right.
know like Shake It Off. You're
Right,
gonna
for
know
sure.
like you're just gonna know her songs. So it would go really well. But I think maybe, one of the reasons why she could be putting it off is I think you gotta do it at the right time as well. I think maybe if she does wait a couple more years where she's nearing like the height of her career in my opinion. But I think once you really hit the legendary level, it's like, oh, no, you're like if Beyonce did the Super Bowl coming off of this Renaissance tour, it would be like, oh my God, like Beyonce is doing like Super Bowl. This is like she is a legend at this point. So maybe once Taylor really, I guess in my perspective, hits that, she's a legend.
Hmm.
Um, maybe that's her time to do the Super Bowl. But I don't know. That's just my take on it.
You know what? It's really hard to say because Taylor is in the middle of her Eras tour right now. And I actually looked at the timeline of her tour coinciding with a Super Bowl date, and she's going to be in Tokyo actually a couple days before. So it just wouldn't even make sense as far as her scheduling at the moment,
Mm,
because I feel like Eras is just kind
right.
of her focus right now. Maybe put off Super Bowl a couple years later until she probably owns all of her music, because as we know, when Super Bowl performers perform, the streaming
So
goes
true.
up through the
Mhm.
roof, like 500%, like crazy numbers.
Yeah.
And so
Yep.
obviously, Scooter Braun owns majority of her originals, and as she's re-recording them in this moment, 1989 I believe comes out in October, early October, and she still has maybe I
Mhm.
think two more albums left to record for Taylor's version. So
Yep.
maybe I'm guessing until she owns all of her music herself, her entire body of work, it's all Taylor's version and only Taylor's version, maybe then she will consider
Yeah.
Super Bowl, because she will, I think, for sure do it. It's no question. She has the discography, she has the
Yeah.
singles, she has the stage presence, the costumes. I mean, we're already seeing it from Eras every night. It's the Super Bowl
Mhm.
for all the Eras concerts. So she's performing a Super Bowl performance every single night of those concerts. So she can do it. She has the capacity, the physicality, without a shadow of a doubt. But I just think it kind of comes down to the business perspective, and she's a very smart business person. And once she owns all that
Mhm.
music, I feel like it'll make sense for her to then do it. And I mean, we don't want Scooter to make more money off of her. He's already taken so much advantage of her. So I feel like the last would be
Mhm.
to have those Super Bowl numbers go through the roof, and she's not getting credited, and it's not going to her pockets, because that's just not fair. Of course she's worth a bunch of money, but regardless of that, her work is her work, and she should have ownership of that. And hopefully that would make more sense for her to then own her work and then talk Super Bowl. That would just make more sense to me.
I agree. Also, I
Amazing
kind of
point.
look at it. I look at it this way, like even with Rihanna's obviously extremely relevant. She's been working on a lot of other projects, right? But even with her doing the Super Bowl, I feel like that made a lot of sense because she had so many hits, and it was nice to see Rihanna perform like that. I feel like she hadn't given a performance in a little bit of time, so it kind of kicked up all
Mhm.
of the musical abilities of Rihanna. So I think even with this, like she's on such a high right now with the fact of the Eras tour, and now it's going international, and I mean it's making so many headlines. It's literally she's been deemed as basically like an economic phenomenon. So I think even if she holds
Yes.
out and like wait until she's like, she's re-recorded all of her albums, they're released, and then
Mhm.
like, maybe wait another 5 or 10 years, like and I don't think her relevancy is honestly ever going to fade. I mean, she's iconic at this point, like
Yeah.
we were saying. But I think that it's like,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that's the thing to do when people are like, oh man, she hasn't performed in a while. I miss her. I think that that's when you come out and do the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And also, like you said, Hiba too, like with the money situation, when it's all situated and nobody else is capitalizing on you anymore at that point. So I think she will, but I think it's going to be another good amount of years probably until she says yes finally. But I love the fact that she's had the opportunity to turn it down so many times. I mean, that's
Right.
great. You go, girl.
It's a lot. Yes.
It's a
Such a
lot.
flex.
I
Yeah.
know. Also, I thought it was really interesting, and let me know your thoughts on this. Ed Sheeran chimed in and basically stated all of the reasons as to why he felt like he would not be a good performer for the Super Bowl. I think it's interesting that they're kind of not really getting a lot of people that are like eager to do it. Even I know like I know everything that's going on with Lizzo and everything. That's kind of a whole thing in and of itself. But I know that I think I don't remember if they took it away from her. Or the opportunity was apparently potentially on the table for her. So I don't know who they're going to get for the
Mhm.
Super Bowl this year. I think it's fascinating. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, any final thoughts in terms of Super Bowl stuff and Taylor Swift?
I think you guys hit the nail on the head. Taylor's got to own her masters and get all her albums done. And I think 5 years
Hmm.
we'll see her at the Super Bowl for sure.
I think so too. Let's talk about Kendall Jenner. So Kendall is still going strong with Bad Bunny. She has never
Mhm.
publicly admitted anything in terms of dating him, but they have not really been secretive. They've been seen out a ton and kissing a ton and all this stuff. She opened up to Harper's Bazaar and mentioned about how she is the type of person she loves without apology. She doesn't give up on anything. How do you guys feel about her and Bad Bunny still being together? And what's your reaction when you hear her say something quite like this? Because I feel like we don't really know Kendall on such a personal level like that, especially not when it comes to her love life. So,
Yeah, I was surprised to see that her and Bad Bunny are still going strong. I think
mhm.
at first it was like, okay, is this a little bit of a publicity thing? You know, how the Kardashians can do. No shade, no tea about it. It's just the reality of kind of like their world. So I was just kind of like, okay, maybe this is a little fling at the very least, but it's been a few solid months now, and they are out at concerts. They're out on the town together. And so yeah, I'm surprised, but I like that for Kendall. I think that's really cool. I think they're really cute looking together.
Mhm.
I like that Kendall is a little bit more private. I think it kind of just goes with her, like, I don't know, she's very laid back and just kind of like, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm not really doing anything for the cameras. Is kind of like her aesthetic, like her energy. And I like that she has this mystery to her. There's this intrigue with her. And for some reason, her being a supermodel, that fits perfectly with that in my head. So I like that she's also kind of like more private, but also not like afraid to just go out with her boyfriend, with Bad Bunny, and be seen. It's very like Zendaya, Tom Holland to me. Like I'm not hiding anything, but I'm not like screaming from the rooftops what's going on with my
Right.
love life,
Yeah.
because that might be actually a sign that it's more serious than not, because I'm keeping it between us. So it's interesting. We'll see how long they go together. But yeah,
You guys, I have just never bought this relationship. To me, it just seems so not on brand for Bad Bunny, and I've been following him for a couple years. And
wow.
you know the saying, "The devil works hard," but Kris Jenner, she works harder.
It's harder.
So she works harder, always harder. She's always up at the wee hours, you guys.
Always.
So I don't really buy it. And obviously, we saw all those videos of them at the Drake concert. They know they're being watched. They know they have a million people, well, not a million,
Yeah.
but like thousands of people videotaping them, recording them, looking at them, watching them like hawks. So they had to, of course, be extra PDA. And it's all kind of like an act, I think, as well. Like you can clearly put on a face, and we're talking about it now, so it's clearly working. It's always going to be headlines whenever they step out, or they're holding hands, or they kiss, or that the next basketball game, courtside. And business side, they're definitely benefiting off of each other because Kendall's the most famous model right now, and Bad Bunny is still at his peak. So maybe he's starting to appeal to the Jenner Kardashian audience that maybe never thought about Bad Bunny or listened to his music. So I feel like business wise, they're definitely benefiting off of each other, and they're both at their peaks. So why not get them together? A public, like a Kris Jenner could have easily conjured that up, or some sort of publicist. So I just don't find it believable. And especially a lot of like people from like Latinos and Hispanic people, like they have called Bad Bunny out himself because, Kendall Jenner, even with her tequila brand, is known to like appropriate a lot of Hispanic culture. So why would Bad Bunny, support that? So it's like a lot of, fans get very passionate about this, and I don't
Interesting.
blame them, but it's just it's not on brand for Bad Bunny. So that's why I don't buy it. And it would seem like such an easy ploy to just get PR out of it. And again, headlines, and just, again, staying relevant, because all the Jenners and Kardashians, their job is just to stay relevant. And what better way than to date a very popular international artist? So it's kind of like just staying relevant, seeing who can keep you in the headlines, kind of partner up with X, Y, and Z. So that's my take. Again, I could be completely wrong, but I'm always skeptical. So yeah, you don't know, but that's just kind of my view about it.
No, I like your view. You just blew my mind. I'm kind of like, now I wonder.
Yeah.
Um,
See?
I know. I know.
now me and Kayla are gonna switch. We're like, no,
Ooh.
I like your point a lot. I mean, I could totally see how, why not match up two very powerful people who are at the peaks of their careers. Um, It's interesting to me that they stay so quiet about it, that they're able to stay so quiet about it. You know, I feel like at some point,
Hmm.
eventually something kind of just slips, but I feel like these two have just really kept a tight lip. I've kind of also been curious about, like, say that the relationship is legit and that they do actually, like, there is no PR involved whatsoever, which who knows. Do you think that this is in reaction to seeing her sisters and seeing all of them go through so many different, like, breakups and divorces and everything like that, that she's super quiet about everything? Or even, do you think she's super quiet because she's had a couple past scandals that have just, like, made her get more quiet? Like, I don't know, that's something that I was kind of thinking about in terms of the fact that her and Bad Bunny haven't made any type of public situation out of this, not formally.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. To me, like that's always been my take on Kendall is she's kind of like learning from her sisters who have, you
Mhm.
know, just I guess they just had way more public facing relationships than her, and it doesn't always turn out the best. Chloe, Kim, So,
Yeah.
I think that that's definitely a part of it. But now with what Hiba had said and
I
rolling around in my head, I'm like,
know.
Blowing your
I
well,
know.
mind.
maybe it's all a scam. I think though at the very least, probably it's. I think after listening to what Hiba said, it's probably a mix of like at the very least they have a little crush on each other or thought they
Mhm.
both were attractive. And Chris Jenner, who works all 24 hours, 8 days a week, was
That
like,
woman,
oh,
18.
so we need to get that. We need to make that like something. We need to stoke that fire. And, maybe it is just kind of like, okay, we see each other, but it's not that deep. But it's like, okay, we're not really going to say anything. We're just going to like go places and yeah, maybe it's a little bit of both. Like, I like you. This is cute. This is fine. But like, also get a little check out of this, or not a check, but you know what I mean. Get some relevancy, some notoriety. Like,
Yeah.
stay in the press, stay with my name kind of floating,
Hmm.
and in the headlines. So yeah, I think that's maybe why. Just going back to your main question, that could still be why she's keeping it. Like, I'm not really saying anything because it's maybe not as legitimate. It's not really worth saying anything. And also, not saying anything keeps the mystery and keeps people
Yeah.
wanting to know what's going on, and keeping an eye on them and yeah, all of that stuff. So,
Mhm. I also think because they're so big, they don't need to say anything because
Mhm.
I feel like they're each their
mm,
own person and their own career and their own brand. And then them just being together is just kind of a little bit like, I feel like it's pretty obvious because, they're at restaurants and then they're showing their PDA and they're at basketball games. And obviously judging off of the past relationships of her older sisters, just kind of like learning what to do, what not to do. And I feel like she's dealt with anxiety. So maybe the last thing she wants is to let the public in on her personal and private life, no matter if it's real or fake. So I think she's just always been kind of the reserved person, kind of in the back of the room, more of the observer rather than the speaker. And I mean, we can put two and two together. Like we've seen the paparazzi pictures, we've seen, the videos and everything. So it's pretty safe to say they're together. So I don't really think they need to say anything. But as far as, yes, not being vocal, it's probably because she's seen what her sisters have gone through. And boy, has it been messy for them. So she just probably wants no part of that.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I'm gonna put a pin in Kendall Jenner and Bad Bunny's relationship, and now I'm gonna rethink everything, and I'll let you know if I change my mind. Thanks a lot, Hiba. I love it. No, it's such a good point though, and I'm really glad that you brought that up. Now I'm gonna think about that for the rest of the day. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about Nick Jonas. Oh my gosh. All right, so Nick fell on
Oh.
stage, but but I love the Jonas Brothers. I love them so much. So Nick fell on stage. As we know, they're doing the tour, which is their big version of the Jonas Brothers version of the Era tour. Let's be real; they're doing
Mhm.
all of their songs, or something like that, or like all of the hit. They're performing a
Close
ton of
to it.
music. Yeah, over the course of every single concert that they're giving. So apparently, he fell into a trap door situation, and he was like in his zone so much, and he was like pointing at the audience and everything and engaging with everybody, and then he just wiped out. A security guard tried to help him, but he just couldn't get him in time, I guess. But Joe and Kevin laughed about it, and I think that's so funny. I'm like, what the heck? What do you guys think about the fact that Nick fell and like Kevin and Joe just laughing about it. I personally just think it's so on brand for them, and I'm glad that Nick is okay above all. Wouldn't be funny if he wasn't. So what was your reaction when you
Right.
found out about this?
Oh, I laughed. I was like, "Oh no, Nick." Just because from my understanding, Nick is a little like I think they're
Yeah.
all like fun guys, like normal guys. If it was Joe, it would really be funny because Joe seemingly is like the super goofy one of the three. But like
Mhm.
for it to be Nick, I'm like, oh no, Nick is like the musician, songwriter, artist.
Yeah.
Like for him to fall, it's probably like, dang, he probably really was embarrassed. And then for his brothers to laugh at him is just it, yeah. But I love that. Like you said, it definitely is on brand for them because just as they've come out with their new album and have been like posting a lot more and all of that, I've really gotten a sense that they really are brothers, like they're family. The
Mhm.
break that they've taken before like 2021, the Happiness Begins album, like it was really necessary and it really benefited, I think, their relationship. And you can tell that they're just like their love for each other is it obviously goes so deep and it's beyond them being a band and them being a group. But yeah, the fact that they could laugh and not get upset with him or like, oh, that wasn't your cue or whatever, pay attention, or
Mhm.
like, be too overly, I guess, like worried about the optics, but just they laughed it off. Like that's their little brother, and it's kind of funny that he like tripped. I don't know. So
Yeah.
I think it was cute. I'm glad that he wasn't hurt. Obviously, like you said, it wouldn't be funny at all if
Mhm.
he was seriously injured.
Right.
Um, but yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely a funny little tip. And it happens, Taylor Swift almost like fell into the same kind of trapdoor situation. She was about to hurt herself if she didn't like look and see that there's different props and different like staging that's going on in a big tours like this. So it's bound to happen at some point to somebody. Beyonce's fallen, you can fall. Okay. It's
It's
okay.
okay. She's done it. Right. And I feel like their stage is pretty big too. Like I'm looking at the picture right now and it looks like it has like
Mhm.
all these types of contraptions. You got the stairs and the lights and the flames. So there's a lot going on like that can visually also impair you. So that's a little
Mhm.
scary. And I've seen them perform one time and they're just kind of like those preteen young teenagers that we kind of got exposed to. Like they're always running around stage, jumping up and down with still all that energy
Mhm.
all these years later and this long into their career. And I just think they always have such good energy. And I gotta say, I'm happy it wasn't Kevin because poor Kevin is always the butt
Oh,
of the joke. So
Kevin couldn't take it. No, it couldn't have been Kevin. I'm glad it
he,
wasn't.
that's why I'm like, okay, Nick can kind of,
Yeah.
be, torched a little bit and Kevin can take the back seat on this one. Because he's always the butt of the joke and I always feel bad. So I'm happy it wasn't Kevin. He was saved. So Nick can get, he can get a little injured a little bit sometimes. But I hope he's okay.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny too because like Nick is super like Kayla said, like he's the artist, he's the music. He's so serious
Yes,
too. Like
serious. Yep.
his ego hurt
Yeah.
more than the fall did. Let's be real.
True.
And there's a really funny clip that surfaced a couple of days ago and it's like something's been happening. It looks like every show because there was a clip of Nick like walking and he was singing his part and it was on TikTok and it was like Joe missed his part and you can tell that there was a dead space for like a good maybe 5 seconds and then you just see Nick like just hamming it up and playing to the crowd and then you just see him just stop and just turn around and Joe's like completely late like he did not sing where he needed to sing. So yeah, Nick is definitely the
Uh,
more like, oh gosh.
yeah,
Do you
yeah.
think that you'll go and see them on I saw them for the Happiness Begins tour and it was awesome.
Mm.
Do you think that you'll be going out and trying to see them on tour?
It's so crazy that you asked me that, and I'm just like hurt all over again because literally before we came on the panel, I was on my phone trying to get tickets and see when exactly are
Mhm.
they coming to my town. And when they are coming to town, I won't be here. I won't
Oh
be in
no.
town.
Oh
So I won't be
no.
able to and it's so annoying too because I just found out that one of my friends from LA is actually singing background on this tour. So I was gonna go see her. And so I'm really bummed that I can't go, especially because what you said, Hannah, it seems like their Eras tour, like they are performing songs from all of their albums.
Mhm.
So I'm hurt, but I'm just praying that I can catch the next one, hopefully.
Yeah, I'll have to see as well because I saw them in January. They did like a AT&T Playlist Live performance, and
Oh,
they were
okay.
so entertaining, like so much energy, and I would be open to seeing them again because it's just so much nostalgia, especially if they're playing all of their music.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
that's very tempting.
I know. And well, Kayla, there you go. You'll come out to LA, and then the three of us will go.
That's
And
true.
then your
Maybe I'll come
friends
out to
in
LA.
LA
Let's do
that
it.
sings backup, and then there we go. And then hopefully we can meet
Yeah. Perfect. You're
some
right.
of our shared news audience there. It'll be fun.
That'd be
Well,
so cool.
ladies, that was a ton of celeb news, but I'm so glad that we were able to touch base
Mhm.
on everything. There's been so much going on. I want to say to everybody that tuned in, thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm Hannah, and joining me today, I have the lovely Kayla and Hiba. And make sure that you guys come and say hi to us on social media. Make sure that you like this video if you haven't already. Hit the subscribe button. Make sure that your notifications are on so you don't miss out on any of our uploads. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye, everybody.